Hello there and welcome to the Card Grotto. Today I'm going to be doing some colouring and also sharing a review of the Arteza Coloured Pencils. So Arteza kindly sent me the 72 set of professional coloured pencils. They come in this really nice tin. They do also come in a 48 size set as well, if you wanted to, as well as the 72. On the back they've got all of the colours listed and their numbers and things like that. This tin is really nice, it's quite compact in size, which is good. Inside you've got all of the colour pencils and they are in trays, and you can take out these trays really easily and pop them back in. As you can see, the pencils themselves, how they're sort of situated in the trays is that there are a few different shades of each colour in each tray. Personally, I'm going to change that about and have all of the colours together. I just find that that's going to work out better for me. So the pencil themselves, they have the colour on the outside of the pencil. Most of the time it corresponds with the colour of the pencil. Some of them don't match up quite exactly. They've got the name printed on the side as well as the number, and then also the Arteza logo on the other side. And then you've got the light fast rating at the bottom. So Arteza have 3+ signs for the most light fast and 1+ sign for the least light fast, and then there's also 2 in the middle as well. So I did swatch out the pencils just to see what they were like so that I could have a colour chart, so it would be helpful for me to use them. I do apologise that it's quite bleached out in the video, but as you can see there are quite a lot of different shades of each colour, which is nice. There's not a huge amount of greys, but I do find that does happen with quite a lot of sets of colour pencils. Obviously they can only fit so many in a set of 72. I tried the pencils out on various different types of cardstock and paper, and I also tried them with Gamsol as well. Although I don't use Gamsol that often these days, I used to use it a lot. I wanted to make sure that they did work nicely with Gamsol as well, and they definitely did on all of these papers. So I tried the Paper Tray Ink Stamper Select White Cardstock, I tried Arteza Mixed Media Paper, Simon Says Stamp Fog Cardstock, Fabriano Artistico Hot Pressed Watercolour Paper, Craft Cardstock, and they show up really nicely on dark colour cardstocks, and also the Arteza Watercolour Paper. And like I said, they do work out really nicely on all of the papers. My personal preference was the Fabriano Artistico White watercolour paper, which is what I'm using for my project today, but I'm looking forward to trying them out with some darker colour cardstocks and things like that. I think, like I said, they did work really nicely with all of them. So for my project I have stamped out this magnolia image from the Clearly Besotted Make-A-Wish stamp set. I've stamped that onto some of the Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press watercolour paper, and I've stamped that with Gina K Amalgam ink. And then I'm going to colour that in with the colour pencils. The colour pencils don't come already sharpened. They come, like, I would say fairly blunt. I do really like to have a sharp nib on my pencil. So I'm just going to sharpen them before I use them. And I use this Faber-Castell pencil sharpener, and I think it works really nicely with these pencils. I didn't, apart from right at the beginning because they were blunt going to a sort of sharper point, I did break a couple right at the beginning, but since then I've sharpened them and I've had no breakage whatsoever, which is quite unknown, I suppose, with wax-based pencils. So these are a wax-based pencil, however I do think that they behave a bit more like an oil-based pencil. So I'm just putting my first layer of colour down first, and that's my darkest shade, and this is the Fruit Punch. And then I'm going in here with the Pink Macaroon, which is my mid-tone shade. And then I do go in with the Peaches and Cream as my lightest shade. The only thing that I found personally with this set of colour pencils is that although they do have quite a few different light, medium and darks of a particular colour like pink, they don't have them in the same colour tone, and I am used to that with colour pencils. However, this was really quite nice to use something a bit different, kind of got me out of my comfort zone. I definitely get into comfort zones with any colouring medium, so it was quite nice just to try something a bit different, and I do like how it turned out in the end. However, I did feel that I was struggling a bit with the blending, purely just because the colours are so different from each other, but they do blend out really nicely otherwise. And I did feel that I got a bit of a better blend with the leaves, so I will share that, you know, as we go on. I do tend to add quite a bit of different layers to these petals here. I go in first with the darker shade, as I say, blend out a bit with the mid-tone, and then go in with the lighter shade. Quite often I add in some white highlights as well with the white colour pencil, and then just go back and forth with the different shades. I do find with colour pencils you do want to layer quite a bit. Usually with wax-based pencils you can't layer a huge amount if you are just leaving it like it is. Whereas like an oil-based pencil, for example, you can add multiple layers without getting any wax bloom or anything like that, because obviously they're not made from wax. Whereas these pencils, although they are made from wax, I didn't get really any wax bloom at all. I found that I could add quite a number of layers on these petals and they were absolutely fine, which is really nice because I do tend to prefer using oil-based pencils rather than wax-based pencils, just for that particular reason. So I'm moving on here to the next petal, again just adding in the darker shades where I want them to be, and then blending out a bit further with the mid-tone and then also the lighter tone, and then going in with that white pencil as well. The white pencil does often help to blend colours together. A lot of people use it for that, or obviously you can use it for highlights as well. The white pencil is okay in this set. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's not bad at all. Even the Polychromo set, the white, I personally don't think is that great, so this really isn't too bad at all. It's quite difficult to get quite an opaque white. And as you can see, I'm going in with the pencil sharpener. I like to keep my pencils quite sharp. I just find that, especially with this kind of work, if I'm doing more of a smoother blend, then I don't tend to sharpen them as much. But because I'm sort of adding in more details and lines and things like that, I do want the pencils to be quite sharp. This image did take me quite a long time to colour. Obviously, as you can see, I have sped it up quite a bit. It took me about an hour and 20 minutes, although I did really enjoy colouring it. And like I said, it was quite nice to get out of my comfort zone with the different shades of pencil as well. And as you can see, like I said, I do go back and forth with the different layers of the pencil. So here I'm going in and doing the leaves. Like I said, I do feel that I got a bit of a better blend. I literally just picked out 3 shades of green that I thought might work quite nicely together. And they did end up working quite nicely together, which was good. So like I did with the petals, I start off with my darkest shade first. This is the emerald colour. Just adding in where I want the darkest areas to be. And then I'm going in here with the mid-tone, and this is the basil colour. So just moving that colour out. I kind of go over what I've already coloured and then bring the colour out further. And then this is the lightest shade, and this is the basil. And then I do also go in with the white as well, and I think the white is called white quartz in this set. And I find that I just wanted some white highlights on the leaves, but I do tend to add the lighter colour on first, just because the paper isn't white itself, and so I find that I just want it to be sort of slightly green, but a lighter shade of green, if that makes sense. And going back in with quite a lot of different layers. When I first started card making, I always used to use colour pencils for my colouring of stamped images. And looking back on it now, I don't remember it taking that long for me to colour, but I guess as time has gone on and I've kind of learnt different techniques with colouring and things like that, that colour pencils take me a long time to use. I absolutely love using them, but I found that over the years I've kind of gravitated towards Copic markers and alcohol based markers, purely just because of the time, you know, constraint, I suppose, of colouring. But I absolutely loved colouring this image in, and as long as you've got a couple of hours to spare with colour pencils, it is really, really enjoyable just sitting colouring. Yeah, it was really, really nice. And these pencils are really easy to use as well. Like I said, they are a bit more like an oil-based pencil rather than a wax pencil. I think that they have a slightly harder core to them than normal wax-based pencils, which personally I really like because you can get a few more different techniques out of it if you want to have more of a line look, for example. It's quite nice to have a harder core rather than a soft core, but you can definitely still get really nice smooth lines, and especially if you use the odorless mineral spirits to blend them out as well, you can definitely get a very smooth look if you wanted to. So I'm just going in here and colouring in this last flower. I thought that I would leave all of the colouring in. I really enjoy watching colouring videos, but I do know that they're not for everyone. These Arteza pencils, they retail in the UK for £28 and in the US they retail for $29, so that is a really good deal. I'm not going to say that they are as good as Faber-Castell Polychromos or Luminance pencils or anything like that, but for the value for money, these are excellent pencils. I definitely recommend this set to anybody, whether you're a beginner or an experienced colorist. I do think that these are really nice pencils and you definitely get a lot of use out of them. Like I said, for the value for money, these are really, really excellent pencils. I haven't found a set of this quality for that kind of price before. The only downside personally for me is that they don't come open stock. That is purely because of the price point. You know, the pencils themselves, if they were to be sold individually, would cost very, very little, and obviously the company's not going to make any money that way. So if you manage to get through a pencil or one or two, you're probably going to want a whole set again anyway, and for the price, personally, I haven't got a problem with that. I'm just erasing the extra pencil marks that I managed to get around the image. That was purely error on my part with moving my hand over the pencils, but they erased really quite nicely with a Tombow eraser. And that's the colouring finished. I really like how it came out. Like I said, originally I wasn't sure about the colours on the petals, but as time went on I found that actually they came out really nicely, for me personally anyway. So to finish off the card, I just added a sentiment from the Clearly Besotted Tiny Typeset and popped the panel onto a fog card base and added some Lucy sequins to that. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. Links to the products will be in the description bar on YouTube and also over on my blog. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.